G'day, HM Hari here. In this video I just wanted to talk a little bit about so many people who are loved ones or exes or have, like, in any relationship type with somebody with borderline personality disorder. And people feel controlled by these people with borderline personality disorder. Now, I'm not here to say that there isn't some element of that going on, or people can feel manipulated. Are people with BPD manipulating consciously? I don't know. Maybe some are, maybe lots aren't. So why do you think that you feel controlled? Now, in different relationship types, there's different kinds of feeling controlled. Devastated when you've been ghosted or the borderline's just left. And that devastation, people are often utterly controlled by it, yes, in many ways, but what's a key central part of that? It's often, as clients report to me, it's often feeling like, if only they'd have done this, if only they'd have said that, if only they'd have given more, if only they didn't say what they did say because they were really hurt and frustrated. And maybe that wasn't the worst thing. Maybe it was, like, not the best thing. But that's not the reason why the borderline just cuts out or just ghosts you. And it's not your fault. So I'm not here to say it's 100% the person with borderline personality disorder's fault either, but it's not your responsibility or your fault why a relationship isn't working out with somebody with BPD, in any relationship type. Why in a significant other relationship, your girlfriend or your boyfriend, your husband or your wife just ghosted you. And you think, well, you think back to the last things you did or the last conversations you had. And in the worst case scenario where people with BPD do take their lives, and there's all of that, which I'm still processing, and so are millions of people in their lives processing. Again, those last moments in any breakup, whether they ghost you or whether they aren't even here anymore, alive, it's not your fault. They have responsibility, and you have responsibility. They don't take their responsibility, they don't process or they can't, many of them. But it's not your fault. It's not what you did, it's not what you didn't do, it's not what you said, it's not what you thought about. And that devastation is part of so much people have to work through. And in other relationship types, feeling that it's your fault is largely significant in other relationships, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. But family of origin, or adult children of a borderline parent or narcissist for that matter, or you have a sibling or a cousin, or it's your best friend, or you thought it was your best friend. When those relationships, you're feeling controlled by them, you're feeling hurt, might be trying to go no contact, you don't know what to do, you might be feeling guilty. The bottom line is it's not your fault. Whether you're trying to go no contact or you're not going no contact, you don't know what you need to do yet, but it's really affecting your life in ways that, is very stressful. Maybe that person keeps calling you. Maybe that person keeps texting you. Maybe they keep emailing you. Maybe they keep banging on your door. Maybe they're hoovering to the point now because you're sort of no contact, but you're not really sure what you're doing with that because you have to work that through. They might catch you going to your car. They might catch you coming or going from work or school. This is all really stressful, and so people start to feel like the borderline is in control. But are they really? And what do you really need to think more about if any of these sort of circumstances I'm just giving examples of might be what you're going through right now? It's important to think about the choices that you're making and what you can change and what you can't change. So you can't change what the person with BPD is doing right now. If they're texting and phoning or emailing or all three or whatever, or other modes of communication, or they're on your Facebook or they're watching your, or all of those different things where people feel out of control with that. People are so stressed by that, understandably. And I have clients reporting to me all the time that they just don't get why this person with BPD, usually it's like it could be anybody, but I'm talking about in family relationships and friend relationships, and it's true for significant others as well, or exes. But they're often saying, well, this person is just controlling me, and I don't know what to do. But these people are often people that haven't yet really gone no contact. But so feeling like a relationship breakup was your fault with someone with BPD when they took off, or even feeling bad when you've had to end a relationship because you really love them, but you can't take the stress and the punishment and the push and the pull and all of that anymore. What's the key thing here? Are they in control and you're out of control? Are they, do they have the power and you feel disempowered? Because if that's true, that you feel that way, what's more true about that is the reality that you need to learn so much more about yourself with respect, so that you can create the change from within that will help you with the entire situation. Because it's not about controlling the person with BPD, whether you're no contact or not. People, even going no contact, people still have to work through the pain or the feeling out of control or the feeling controlled or the devastation of a relationship loss of any type, because otherwise you're still going to be haunted by it. You're still going to be feeling bad about it. It's still going to be stressing you out. Personal responsibility is what I'm talking about here. And that you can only change you. And that you need to meet your own needs. Without realizing it, most people give over the rights to their own best interests, the rights to their needs. And this is like often about codependency, but the bottom line is, why do you need to know more about yourself? Why am I working with so many clients right now? Why have I worked with clients over 25 years and I have all this experience, and why will I be working with clients for the very foreseeable future? Because this is a process. And I mean, I know both sides of this probably more than most do. Like, I don't think too many people do that are doing what I do, that really understand what it's like to have been there, to have recovered, to have parents with, the one parent BPD covert narcissist, to have had a relationship with a BPD, NPD, alcoholic. And then of course I've worked with so many, and I do work with people with BPD, and I do help people with BPD. Most of them, not all of them, right? And the other thing is, so I get to see people in recovery from BPD, working with them. I see their process. I see what they're thinking and how they're feeling. And they're speaking for themselves, not everybody. But here's the key thing. So this is why the personal responsibility message again comes in. Because if you're feeling like a person with borderline personality disorder in your life has control, and maybe in a way they do, emotionally or in some way kind of over you, then, or what they're doing or how you're feeling, or both, then how can you change that? Well, you have to change something inside. And how do you do that? Well, you can work with somebody like me, or me, because I'm like me a lot. Sorry, you work with, I'm out here, right? But the point is, you need to work with someone who really knows this inside out, backwards, forwards, both sides of it. Because this is the place where people need to realize that it's what you need to know more about yourself that matters now. You've watched a million videos probably, I'm exaggerating, but maybe you've watched hundreds or thousands of videos about BPD. Maybe you've read a ton of books by now. And guess what? That's great. You're learning a lot. I hope you've learned from some of my other videos, but this is head knowledge. And what I help people do is take the head knowledge with some other things they still need to know, or lots of questions people ask me about things from the inside out, so to speak. But it needs to filter through to your emotions and what's the block there. And I help people with that, along with a whole lot of other working pieces to this. So that the only way free from what you're feeling, still going through stress, perhaps they're still in contact, perhaps you're still in contact, perhaps you don't know what to do about that. Well, you need to know more about you, and you need to know more about what that knowing more about you will really bring to the table in your life, to your emotional reality, to your growing, expanding emotional intelligence, which is what you need. Growing and expansion of your emotional intelligence to make the kind of choices in mindful, aware ways, conscious choices, difficult choices. And I help clients not only to realize what those are, And lots of people know in their head what they are, but how to filter that through the emotional process and how to filter that into one's emotional landscape and how to help people realize their own blocks to creating a more effective and deeper understanding. So an increase in your emotional intelligence that helps you to make shifts in yourself, that helps you to free yourself to make choices that right now you're feeling controlled in a way that you can't make these choices, but you might not be aware of that consciously. But you're not really being controlled out of making these choices. It just feels like that. So the good news is I could help you with that. You can change that. I'm working with just high numbers of clients right now in general, but on these specific things, people with BPD, like I've said about the narcissist too, they do not have as much power and control over you as you think. You're giving it to them because you are not owning your own limits, your own needs. You've given over the power that they've actually taken some of, if you look at it that way. Now you're feeling like you have less power. They'll try to get power. People with BPD are overcompensatorily trying with defense mechanisms and maladaptation, or an adaptation that's now maladaptive, but they will try to pull for more control or power in the sense of overcompensatory because they feel out of control inside themselves. So maybe a lot of people have that in common with someone with BPD. I'm not saying everything, but this idea that someone else is controlling you and so you need to fight back, or somehow, or you're just stressed out because they're going to control you, or you're going to stay devastated because you feel like however a relationship ended with anybody with BPD in your life, in any relationship type, you feel like it's your fault, or they still have power over you. There's a whole lot of emotions sitting under there. People need to work on the emotions and the feelings, what you've been through, and you need to grow your emotional intelligence. That and personal responsibility are my two basic messages in all of this. There's this process to get through these things in each individual that I work with. But what I see overridingly is people coming to me feeling, devastation happens, right? But people think that they're the reason that somebody with BPD left them, or that they had to leave them, still. Or a family member, you feel like you are out of control, or they have power over you. And if you're somebody who struggles with this sort of control issues, then you're going to be more affected and feel like you're in a control struggle, which that's the first thing that people have to step out of. There's so much that you can change. It's your responsibility to own your own interests, to own your own needs, and then to not ignore them and abandon yourself to what's going on with the person with BPD, whether they're still in your life, just left you, you left them, they're hoovering you, you're trying to go no contact, you don't know what you want, you're all messed up inside because you care about them. Or maybe you're just used to, from a really rough time in your past, say this with respect and empathy, maybe you're just used to somebody like a parent, right? And now it might be a sister or a brother or a cousin or a friend, or it could have been a significant other relationship. You're just used to taking care of other people's needs as if you don't have any. But you have more power than that in your life, more empowerment, more autonomy to gain. And it all rests on developing more emotional intelligence, working on what you need to know more about yourself based on your past and what you brought to the table of the situation that you're now facing. So it's not always all the person with BPD's fault. It's not everything's going on one way only, but many of them do not ever take responsibility. What more can you do for you? Help you think about this and to challenge yourself with what are you thinking and what are you feeling and what are you doing? Do you have your own best interests mindfully, in a conscious, aware way, as a priority in your life? In a balanced way? Are you out of balance? Because that's important too, especially with emotions and emotional intelligence. Are you owning your own needs? Because codependents don't do that either. Codependency is a situation or impasse, whichever word you want to use or whatever we're describing here, respectfully. Impasse and codependence, I'll just say, for the way that people put it online. Both groups of people have difficulty owning their own interests and owning their own needs and then meeting their own needs. And it's something from childhood, and it's something you need to know more about so you can take the very best care of yourself. I hope that was helpful. Take care.